Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now let the stories begin. Hi, everybody, and so excited to have you with me today. As always, the guests that I get so honored, thrilled, and overjoyed to celebrate and share with you in this world are always guests that I follow my heart, I follow my spirit, and I invite people to be on the show that I believe have a story. And many times, as many of you know that listen to this show, I don't even know the real story. Part of this is as much of a surprise for me because I just am always open to the serendipitous moments and how God brings people into our life. So on that note, thank you to everyone out there that is listening. I know we are now in over 160 countries, and it's because of you that listen and send in those beautiful messages. So thank you for sharing the messages, that the stories that bring you hope. Today, I'm so excited because I just recently met this amazing woman, and we're going to go and we're going to talk about that right now, how we met and the coolest moments of what can happen in your life. So here we go. Welcome, Rebecca Reeves. Hi, my beautiful new friend.
Hi, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And it's so fun. We have to share with everybody. Before we even go into what the story is behind the story, we got to share how we met. So
okay.
Let's take them down. So you and I met because you were in a handpicked, personally invited very few public events do I do with my extraordinary leader. And so I was brought to Salt Lake City and was doing an extraordinary leader. And there you are, Rebecca Reeves, sitting in the audience as part of this day, right? And we're like,
yes.
Yeah. So take us from there, because your experience of that day has a lot to do with why you're on the show today.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. And it was really incredible because before I had met you, I was meeting with your friend Lane.
Yes.
And we were sitting at dinner and he tells me, wow, you got to meet this lady. And he goes off about how loving and how kind. And when you're in her presence, you just feel so loved, like you've known her for your whole life. Mm. And then that night I was talking on the phone to my sister, just explaining this lady to her. Oh my gosh, I've got to meet this lady. And she's like, wait a second. I think I know her. Is this Holly? And it was her. It was you.
So I didn't even know this story.
That was so awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That was so awesome.
You just gave me goosebumps. I feel like you're having me on your show right now. I'm like all happy.
Thank you. Yes. So Melinda and you had went to a training together. And that's how she described you to me, is the same exact things. So isn't that so awesome? What we give to people, they really feel that. And that's you. That totally is you. You love and you give so much. So that was really incredible. And I was so excited to meet you. And when I met you, so I was sitting there and I saw you up by the table, I went up to you and gave you a big hug. I was so excited to meet you as though I already knew you.
I do remember that.
So it's just like celebrating. Yay, hi.
Oh, and I love how all of this, right? So let's just pause. And I want everyone listening to truly, I say it over and over, but when we are at a place that we are seeking our soul's highest calling in this world, and we are open to the serendipitous, beautiful moments and the miracles that can happen. You never know who you're going to meet and how it's going to happen. And seriously, Rebecca, it now brings me back to that moment when you walked in, you gave me a big hug, and then you're like, my sister and I had been invited to attend and actually observe and give feedback on a session back in November by our dear friend Lane Munson, whoever knows Lane. If you want to meet a man that I believe is anointed by the greatest angel on this earth, it's Lane Munson, by the way. We're giving a plug to Lane right now.
Yes, agreed.
Right? Yes.
Amen.
Amen to Lane. And so then I meet Melinda. Oh my goodness. And then I meet you. Well, okay. So I think we should hold off and dangle the carrot of the next amazing thing that happened, because it kind of happened throughout the day about, let's go into your passion. Share with us, this movement that you've started, and tell us all about how exciting this is. And then we'll get to the backstory of why this matters. So tell us all about this exciting movement that you're getting ready to launch.
Yes. So the movement is Warriors of Your Mind, and being able to bring this into schools and teach this at, through the teacher to the teachers, and then also teach and in assembly. It's very interactive. It's very fun. And it's teaching kids to realize, the power that they have within themselves. These thoughts that they have, they're usually, their self-esteems are usually not there at that time, middle school, high school age. But it's so important for them to realize who they truly are and the power that they have to serve other people. And with this, and the coolest thing about this is one night before bed, I was like, okay, what, God, where am I going? What am I doing? And I said a prayer and I said, God, please help me with this. Where am I going? What should I do? What should my next thing be? And I went to sleep and I woke up at 5 and I just started writing and writing and writing. And over again, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is exciting. This works. This fits me. This is really who I am. Because it's like a game show, but it's also very fun with music and it's very interactive. And that's just, how I am. I'm just very enthusiastic. I love people. I love life. I love to celebrate. And so as I wrote this down, I went throughout my day and I looked back at it either that following night or the next day. And I was like, wow, this is really good. This is so cool. How did I even write this?
I love it.
And I know that it wasn't like God was working through me to serve me and give me my next step. And it was incredible. And it was just, it was something that I can't come up with by myself. So I know there's a higher hand in that.
Oh.
And so,
I love this.
As I go through, I'm like, oh, this is, I don't know, your doubts come in and you get kind of frustrated. And what else do I write here? And one day I was sitting. So this is kind of a funny story.
Okay, I love it.
So God knows when to speak to you, right? Yep. He knows at the best time when to speak to me. And as I'm at my most vulnerable moment, I'm sitting on the toilet, having all these doubts of what am I going to do? I can't launch that program. It's too crazy. And all of a sudden I have this feeling and this thought of, you know what, Rebecca, so many people think that Tony Robbins, what he does is crazy, but look at how many lives he blesses because of what he does, because he's true in what he believes, his message, and that's what he delivers. He lives by it, he breathes it, and that's who he is. And right then I was just like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. And Tony Robbins was, I listened to a lot of his stuff and used a lot of his tools to shift my own life, from suffocating fear, anxiety, depression, and comparison. I applied these principles from him, Deepak Chopra, Oprah, and Wayne Dyer, but I stuck to them and I used them. Yes. And I used them to transform me and lift me up to where I am.
Well, what's beautiful? Okay, so we have to pause for a moment because there's so much here that's just oozing out of you and your passion. And you just kind of took me to where I want to go. And that is, you have battled depression. You have battled a lot of things. You're a single mother of 3 right now. You're also you were raised with 11 siblings. Of course, I can only imagine, having now met 2 of you, how incredible the energy is amongst all of you, right? Like, because you and Melinda are just like these beautiful angels and the spirit. But take us back. So this passion and what you really want to do with the youth. And I love you and I cherish you for this. It's why I wanted to have you on the show, to bring people's awareness to this. But now I want to take us back to your younger years and let's get real, authentic, and honest, because this is where people get hope. This has not always been the bubbly, yay, celebrate Rebecca. You've battled your own demons. When I say demons, depression and all of that. And you were I think at one point you said you almost committed suicide or tried.
Yeah.
Can you take us to that pivotal moment in your life so we can know where you've been and where you are now? What happened then? Yeah.
So at that point in life, I, through my teenage years, I really struggled to fit in. I just felt like I was so alone. Even amongst so many siblings, I felt like I was so alone. I disconnected myself. And I remember looking in the mirror and just telling myself, I hate you. You are so ugly and you don't belong here. And I would tell myself that over and over again. And not knowing the power of our thoughts, the power of our feelings, and voicing it, it started to manifest. It started to create those different things. And my body language, this, everything started to take play in what I would say to myself. And so I remember there were some days where I didn't want to get out of bed during the summer, and I would sleep till 5 p.m. because it was better for me to just sleep and not than to get up and live life.
Oh, Rebecca,
And that's how bad it got.
How old were you then?
I think at that time I was probably 17, 16, 17, probably 17, 18, around then.
Time.
And
critical time in your life where you're really coming into or you think you are coming into who you're going to be, and, coming into a woman and whatever the choices you make for a career. And here you were laying in bed, and to think that the beautiful human being I've met and I know and I'm talking to right now, I can't even fathom that you could say those words to yourself. But that's how easy it happens, isn't it? The words that we say to ourselves when you would look at yourself. So what was the pivotal moment that did you end up attempting suicide and survived, or did you just think about it a lot? Take us to that.
Okay. So at that point, so about 19 years old, I moved out at any chance that I got because I thought it would, I just wanted to be away from everyone. And so I moved out with this guy and lived with him for a few years. And through that time, it became a very unhealthy relationship. And if my mindset is in victim, of course that's going to happen. You're going to allow that to happen. And me looking at that now, yeah, I did allow that to happen. And so it just got worse and worse. And to the point where I was terrified to leave. I was terrified to go anywhere, do anything, because I didn't believe in who I was. And so I disconnected from my family, and I was scared because my parents were they raised us in a specific religion, and I was going against that religion. And so I held so much guilt and so much shame, and that's all I thought about. And I would repeat those same words over and over again as I would look in the mirror, or when I would mess up or whatever it was. And so, and anyone to the outside, they would say I was happy. They would see the smile on my face. They would see me laughing, but inside I was suffocating in all these feelings of sadness, depression, and sorrow. And I just remember, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not going to live anymore. My parents, it doesn't matter anymore. I cannot live like this anymore. And so I grabbed a whole bottle of pills off the fridge. I put them in my hand. I threw them in my mouth, took a bunch of water, and I was in the bathroom. I locked myself in there.
Oh, bless your heart.
And I looked down and I just, this is it. I'm done. I'm so done. And God, take me. And I would pray, God, take me. Please take me. Oh. And I remember I looked up and I saw myself in the mirror, and I saw a little twinkle in my eye, and I saw my mom. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is my mom going to think? And then my dad, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, it was a realization in that second of, what did I just do? This was a choice that I made, and I can't take it back. And I fell to the floor, and I just started to sob and cry and think, oh my gosh, my mom, my dad, what am I going to do? And so then I thought, okay, hurry, get this out of you as fast as you can. And so I started to make myself, throw up as much as I could. And I went downstairs at this time. It was probably around 3 something in the afternoon. And I went downstairs to my room, and I remember my body was shaking so bad. And I laid in bed until about 4:15 a.m. And that's when I fell asleep, not knowing if I'm going to live or die or what, was going to happen from them. But I prayed, please, God, save me. I'm so sorry for what I did. And just shaking and shaking. And I remember waking up in the morning and looking at my body, and I was alive. Oh. And just the blessing, like, wow, how could I survive something like that? And what am I going to do from this point forward?
You know what's amazing? I'm listening to you, and it's like you went from God, please take me to God, please save me. And when you just said, I got goosies when you were saying, I would looked up and I saw like a twinkle, and you saw your mom and dad. And it's almost like when people say, have you ever experienced angels or light or something that you can't, it's so hard for people to understand that if they haven't actually experienced it. But you had an angel in that moment that tapped you enough. And I'm just having a moment that, you know, to pray to God, to be so down and say, take me, to then turn around and go, please, God, save me, you know, and you are alive and with us because look at the mission of what you want to do with your life and helping young people. And you're a mother of 3 children who I can't even imagine how blessed they are to have you. You wouldn't be here. I'm just so grateful.
Yes.
I'm so
Thank
grateful.
you so much.
Oh,
yes,
Rebecca.
thank you.
It just makes sense too why this is so important to you, that you want to impact people's lives. And when I think about your movement about celebrating together, and so much of this that I was reading about you too, is you use the word courage a lot, and courageous. There's something in there, right? Like to help people step out of fear and into faith, to have courage. Why is the courage a big part of this for you?
Yes, I love that. For me, it was so scary to do something different and think something different. I mean, I remember there were so many points in my life that there were like little seeds, growing within me that, okay, Rebecca, you got to shift. But when is it that you take that courage to make that happen? I just felt like I was at the bottom of the barrel. And I want to share this with you, is that had my second child, and she was a newborn. I was rocking her in my arms, and my other little daughter, she was 1. She was just cuddled up on my leg, and it was early morning in December on the 17th. And I got a phone call, and this phone call changed my life forever.
What phone call?
And the phone call said, your brother just took his life.
Oh,
and
Rebecca.
My heart just sunk, because from that point, I was about 5 years away from where I was at, my attempt. And so maybe 6 years. And he was 15 years old. We called him Jer Bear. And I couldn't even wrap it around my head. I did not believe what I just heard. There's no way. I'm holding my 2-week-old baby, and my brother had just died in my parents' basement. He took his life. And so from a year later on that, there's so much more to that story that's beautiful. But a year later, we met together as a family. And you can say before then, we really never shared our feelings. We never talked about what was going on with us, and hence the disconnection between all of us. And as we're sitting together, Christmas lights around the house, blue Christmas lights. And I just had this feeling, ask everyone what they learned from this. And how hard that was for me to ask, because I thought, that's so stupid. Why would I ask that question? Everybody's hurting. Why would I ask what they learned from this? So I was like, okay. So as I get up, I start fumbling over the words, but finally they came out, and one by one, each of them shared. And right then in that moment, I knew I was not alone. I knew I wasn't alone. And I vowed to myself, I promised to myself that I would make a difference in the lives of others and help them realize who they truly are, so that they can live a beautiful life and not suffer anymore. And so I dove in, self-improvement, seminars, trainings. I've been to so many seminars and trainings, and I love them. I love them. That's how I met you.
I know. I love that quality about you. You are about like, I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to expand.
Yes.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. That is what I want to celebrate about
excited.
You. Oh,
yes. Thank you. Yeah, I thrive for it, because when you go to these seminars, it brings the most incredible people together.
Yes.
And these people become your family forever. You connect with them in a way that you would never connect with them if you're walking on the street, if you work with them. There's just something about it that you bring. Like, that's a beautiful gift that you give to other people, is bringing that and creating that culture of extraordinary leader. That's what you do. Like, that's amazing. And so I just, I dove in and started discovering, wow, I could meditate and I could use affirmations and exercise, eat better. And one by one, I started incorporating these things and started teaching them to my students, and in the beauty industry. And over, they started to tell me, wow, this helped me. Wow, I like school finally. Wow, this is fun. Wow, this and that. And I started to realize, wow, this is kind of a gift. This is really cool. Because I love, my passion is, yes, I love to learn, but I also love to give it. I love to teach it and serve people and help them learn help them be able to learn in a different way that they've never learned before, or hear something they've never heard before, and love them like they've never been loved before. Because a lot of my students come from, either broken homes or hard relationships, whatever it is. But when they're there, I just want to love them and I want to support them and help them be a better person than I was in a shorter time.
What's so cool too is that I have to say, I'm having a moment because we have to now tell this amazing, this just proves, okay, so I'm getting goosies again because you can hear, everybody can hear the beautiful energy coming out of Rebecca. And I want to thank you first for being so authentic, peeling back the onion, the layers of the onion, and sharing with us, one of your darkest times, a couple of your darkest times. It hasn't prevented you from stopping. It actually has ignited you. And my mantra, I think I shared it with you that day, is, I choose to not be a victim of life, but to be a victor. And I choose to not live in woe is me. It's wow is me. And I loved every minute of meeting you because I feel like you embody that. And Rebecca, the coolest thing happened that day that you were there with me. And that was that you believe in self-improvement, you believe in visualization, you believe in having your dreams and goals. And we were doing a piece around that. And you set an intention and you said to everybody, now say it loud, what was one of your goals for this year?
Yes, one of my goals. This is exciting. So yes, one of my goals for this year was to be on 5 podcasts. And that day, Holly invited me to be on her podcast. And I was so excited because goals, it really does work. You write these things down, you focus on them, and you make it a reality. You create that by taking that action. And so, woo!
And then here we are. I know.
Yes.
And I'll never forget that moment. And I didn't want us to forget to mention that because all of that you've done to work on yourself and really find your highest soul's calling and really give back to the world, but you're a sponge and you love to, everything you're sharing. This is exactly everyone listening to the world right now. Please pause. Please take time to honor your soul and then be ready and open up. Set those goals. I always say dreams create visions that create goals. And you got to start with the dreams. And Rebecca had dreams. It's all manifesting in ways you don't even know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And look at Rebecca is now on her first podcast show. And I'm so excited to do this for her and for the world to learn more. So on that note, as we wrap this up, my love, can you tell people, I have 2 things I want to wrap up with. First, how can they reach out to you? How it would be best if people want to learn more about your movement, just reach out and learn more about you. What's the best way for that?
Yes, either email. It's Rebecca Reeves coaching. Rebecca Reeves coaching @gmail.com. Or you can look on Instagram. It's under Rebecca Reeves coaching, or Facebook, Rebecca Reeves.
Perfect.
Yes, I would love to connect with you.
Oh, and I'm thinking about I'm passionate about our youth, and we need more people doing what you're doing. It's just the youth are hungry, and we never know the stories that are going on behind closed doors. Some of the most dangerous environments that children are facing today are not happening in what we consider the bad parts of the city. They're happening everywhere. And so by you wanting to empower young people to celebrate them, fall in love with them, this could be the beginning of helping to end bullying, right? Because bullying ends up hurting people, and usually the ones doing it are the ones that lack the most confidence. I mean, this is a sick cycle, right? That's affecting everything. But on that note, I would like to ask you, and this is how I'd like to wrap this up with a bow, go back to that 17, 18-year-old self. And based on the amazing woman you are today, if you could look at her and give her advice or a nugget of wisdom based on who you are today and where you've come today, what advice would you give your 17, 18-year-old self back then?
Oh, that's beautiful. No, Rebecca, I just, you have so much resiliency for life and everything's really going to work out. You are such a beautiful girl and own your power within you. You have so much to offer to the world and your voice matters so much. You are loved and supported.
I got a little emotional because you know what? Because it's true. And I love the way I think everybody could take a lesson from what you just said. You started it with Rebecca. That's exactly, I've asked every guest for 3 years and no one ever actually says it like that. Wow. And that is the most beautiful gift you just gave the world is, I need to take a lesson from you and say, I'm going to speak to Holly with a loving voice and use my name, not just I, right? But Holly, you are extraordinary. Rebecca, you are a loving, extraordinary, beautiful woman. I love the way you articulated that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your heart and soul and your passion. And I just have to brag on one more thing, and that is that you've not only managed to be a single mother of 3, pursuing your passion to give back to the world, you are sitting on a board, the Building Utah Youth in Utah. You've completed your first triathlon. I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff, girl.
Yes,
yeah,
I am. Woo!
I love it.
Momentum. And that celebration, I've just barely learned that, is when you celebrate your little wins and victory, you create that momentum. It continues that momentum to keep you moving forward, to make things happen. So you get out of bed with the smile. Woo! Celebrate that. That's exciting that you got out of bed with the smile.
Oh,
so every little thing, it creates that momentum.
It really does. It does, babe. And it's just, we don't do enough of it, as to why I have a show called The Celebration of You.
Wow! Yes.
I love it. And you know what I just thought of, and it might be too late for you, but if there's any way you would love, I am one of the 5 speakers at an event in Redondo Beach, California. It's a women's event. It's called the Brilliant Event. It's once a year, and I will send you the details, but for anybody listening, if you're anywhere near LA, Redondo Beach, it's an amazing event. And the 5 women speakers, each one of us come from a completely different, I'm going to say, world of success. They've invited us because of where we are in our life, but we're all women that have had the real stories, the real journeys. And Rebecca, you talk about wanting to be around this kind of energy and this passion. I'm going to send you the details because it's a 3-day event. You would be on fire at this event when you see these women that are going to be there. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Love it. Maybe you and Melinda just need to get in the car and share a hotel room and get there.
I like that. She would love that. Woo!
All right. Well, I'm going to send you that. You can go to the Brilliant Event. You. Absolutely. It's called thebrilliantevent.com, but I'll send you the details. And thank you, my love, for being a new gift in my life. Shout out to Lane Munson for the introduction. And I promise we will be in touch again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, love. Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.